When we're sort of considering, is my idea original? And you think, oh no, like it's not, because any sense that's of unoriginality might be just coming from the fact that it feels familiar, and it is part of this whole structure that works. And sometimes if your voice, author voice, is strong enough, or your characterization is really good, that can be the only originality that you need to bring to it. If you can just write it in a bit of a different, in a really fresh way, then sometimes that's enough to inject that, just that bit of originality into like what is essentially a plot that we hear every day, or we read in our newspapers every single day.
Yeah. Having the original thought there is the important part. And the characters, you're gonna be able to create your character different than anyone else can create the character. If you tie the right emotional strengths to them. An example we were talking about off camera, and I'll share this here. Is that you're taking a look to see. Let's say, for instance, you've written. You've got this great quirky romance story that you want to write, and then you're like, I want this super powerful ending. And so I want the person, one of the people to die at the end. That, at that moment, maybe that's a moment you say, well, maybe this shouldn't be a quirky romance. Maybe this shouldn't be a funny comedy romance if the people are dying at the end. Maybe this should be a serious, tortured romance,
unless you've got a really weird target audience.
and there certainly is a target audience for just about anything that you want to write today. You just have to dig deep to find it. It depends on how commercial you're trying to be. And, if you're trying to sell it to a big 5 publisher, if you're trying to sell it to a traditional small press, if you're cross genres, and trying to find that audience on your own, it can be possible. And that's one thing that I think I really always like to just bring up. Everything is possible. It's how hard are you willing to make it work? Because some things are just going to be too crazy, and you're going to bang your head against the wall for a long time trying to find a crazy audience who likes quirky romantic comedies where the characters die at the end.
You're like, but I've met one other person that likes this. That's almost enough to start a club.
Yeah, exactly. You just sell to that one person. You just have to pay, they just have to pay a lot for your book.
Yeah, that's like taking the adage, have one ideal reader, write for one person, but that's taking it like literally.
Yeah, taking it a little bit too far.
I came across an interesting quote by John Steinbeck, and he said, ideas are like rabbits. You get a couple and you learn how to handle them, and pretty soon you have a dozen. I just think that's great. And it's like, I'd just like to mention, and we've said this before, but keep a journal, because I think that's where like ideas either become good ideas or you can come back to them later and realize that they were really bad ideas. But there's a knack of, if you don't write it down, a couple of days later, you might think, oh, I had such a good idea the other day and I can't remember what it was. And suddenly, you put this idea up there and you think that it was better than it might have been. So even if the idea just goes there to die, I think this is where, you tend to those rabbits, and you sort of, you practice spotting the difference between a good one and a bad one. Mm-hmm. So I think that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, I definitely. And I love writing down, I'll have, the other day I had a dream. It was a very vivid dream going through, and I woke up and I immediately grabbed the phone and I wrote down the ideas, because it was this scientist story kind of thing going on about transmitting information through DNA, to another person. And I was like, well, that's a really clever idea for a story, and, trying to work some things out. But the unfortunate thing was I couldn't pull enough of the dream, because I was like, this seemed so much more rich and developed a couple minutes ago when my eyes were closed.
That subconscious can be slippy sometimes.
It really can. So along with this, it's one of the points I really want to bring across here, and I hope you've already heard this. One of the things we're saying is you need to compare your stories against contemporary literature that's out there. If you're going for genre fiction, compare it to the other genre fiction that's out there that's working. What is selling well? If you're going for literary fiction, what are winning awards? What are people interested in at this time? And that's one of the ways that we can compare our idea against other people's to say whether it's good or not good. I remember reading Ernest Hemingway talking about if he is going to be, he was not going to be a mediocre writer, that he was going to read everyone else's work that was better than him because he wanted to write his next piece to be better than them. Like he wanted to do it better. And that's what we're saying, what's working? How can you make your story better than what's already there? Because that's what you want, right? You want readers. You want people to be interested. So let's take a look at what's already working. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. And that kind of goes with, when people say, if there's a book that you want to read and you can't find it, then write it. And it's sort of that, there's nothing wrong with reading something and thinking, I think I can do better or add something to this. I think you almost need to think that a little bit.
Well, and you're very familiar with 50 Shades of Grey, having edited the academic version.
Yeah.
But this is what she did. She took a popular genre for Twilight, started writing fan fiction in it, where she took the story and made it hotter than what it was in the book, fulfilling the desires for the people that wanted to have more out of those. So she took an idea that was working and then changed it to build on it. I don't know that you can make Twilight better. It's already at a, I guess I should say I think you can make Twilight better without much effort, but that's what she did, though.
I think that's what she did, isn't it?
Yeah, she did.
She made it better without much effort.
Without much effort, and outsold it. And so and I'm not saying that sales have to be your judge. If you just like writing for the sake of writing, it's for yourself, then you don't have to worry about this. Generate the funniest, quirkiest, great ideas that you have and just run with them. If you're trying to make this your life, your life's work, and you're trying to make a living off of this, then you need to pay attention to the business of writing.
Thank you for listening, and come back next week for more. Please visit thebookeditorshow.com for show notes, links to guests, books and extras, and for information on how to be a guest on the show.